Oh, guys, I've just been given the go-ahead. We are live. We're live. Hey, guess what? It's jamplay.com. Welcome. It is, my name's Dave Brown. It is not Dave Brown. I am Dave Brown. Thanks for hanging out. I think, this is week 4. Already a month into these jams of the week. So if you haven't been with us yet, thanks for hanging. Basically, the concept of this course is we're going to kind of take on a progression. This is a very simple 2-chord progression today. And the idea is that, we're going to build it up in layers. So we're going to teach you the basic progression so the beginners can, get something going. Then we're going to move on to like a slightly more advanced concept, but that's not straight up like soloing ideas. So the intermediate players can get something going too, or even, beginners can step out of their comfort zone. And then we will get on to a pre-composed 4-bar solo over a 2-bar phrase. So 2 times through a phrase. It's going to be fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Today's progression is a 2-5. Some people think it is like a 1 to a 4. However you want to think of it, it's fine. It's a minor 1 chord if you're thinking like that. It's a major 4 chord. Technically, it's, a 2-5-1, just without the 1, like jazz progression. You'll find this in jazz a lot. You'll find it, so like Herbie Hancock's, Chameleon, obvious 1. It's basically that jam, just in the key of G instead of B flat. This is essentially the You Enjoy Myself jam section from Fish. Always fun, always a good jam session, like if you're just going and you want to kind of get together with buddies and play a progression, or if you're at an actual jam session, if those ever exist in the future again, if anything ever exists in the future again, this is something you can play at that. I think that's a good preview, a good little intro. As always, we got Jason manning the helm, so he's happy to field any of your questions across all the platforms that we're streaming right now, and I will answer them to the best of my knowledge because I am here for you, and I love questions because, I could do this. I'll blow right through this hour. That's no problem, but it's always nice kind of knowing, somebody's out there having a problem that I can solve it just because that is the nature of teaching lessons. I like to teach to somebody, so don't be shy. Say hi. Okay, here we go. Again, it's a 2-5 progression. We're in the key of G minor, I guess you could call it, F major if it's a 2-5. But essentially, you're going G minor to C7. Now, I'm going to give you a couple. There's technically 3 on that tab there. There's 3 options of just general voicings you can do to play this, okay? When you really know your thing, you can kind of have a fun time all across the neck, but we got to work up to that. So we're going to start off with G minor. Now, this one essentially, so it's a G minor 7. So most people probably know this bar chord, but basically you're just barring the 3rd fret, ring finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string. Wow. Pinky on the 4th string, 5th fret. I need to come up with a precise way to say those because sometimes I say string first and then fingers and whatever. You know what I'm saying. G minor, right? You take your pinky off. Now it becomes G minor 7. Sorry, I got a little grid on. It's a very subtle difference, but it's there. And if you're going to this, so basically you're going to a C chord. So your clear option is like an A shape right there if you're doing this. Like if you were just playing bar chords without the 7s, you would just do that, right? So you got G minor and you got C. So basically some of you probably already know that. But you can turn this voicing dominant because technically that's what the next chord is. It's a dominant 7 chord and it's a 5. That's the only time you get a dominant 7 chord, really, unless you start secondary dominant stuff, but that's for another day. So instead of barring your ring finger, what you're going to do is you're going to put your ring finger straight up, so it's just holding that 4th string, 5th fret. Pinky is on the 2nd string, 5th fret. And okay, so now you've exposed this 3rd string on the 3rd fret. And so you got that. So the first option is 2, 3, 4. And it's just 1 bar each, right? So, bare minimum, you could even just play whole notes over that whole thing, right? So what would that sound like? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got 2, 3, 4. doesn't suck. It's a nice layer, you know? Especially if you had like a volume pedal, you can do swells in and it would sound very nice. It would sound very pretty. Okay, so those are the more rock voicings. There's a subtle difference from what we're about to go to, but it is noticeable, especially without all the grip. But I don't feel like getting up, so we're just playing the whole day with grip because I want to solo later. So this is how I would make it, especially in a jazz progression. We're going to start with your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. You're going to kind of mute the side of the 5th string with your middle finger, so it's just getting lazy, touching the side because we don't want it to ring. And then speaking of ring, your ring finger is going to go across frets 3, 3, 3, and 3 on strings 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're just barring that 3rd fret. It's basically the entire neck at the 3rd fret except for that 5th string. And so in order to do this voicing properly, it's a little awkward for some people at first. In order to do it properly, again, you want to start probably with your ring finger. That's probably the easiest way for if you're just getting going. But the most important thing is the good solid arch. Sorry, I was going to the next chord. Spoiler alert. So middle finger on the 6th string. I'll table that because I just realized there's a reason why I'm trying to explain it over the C9 chord. We'll come back to it in a second. Yeah, really just here, it's just a decent arch, so it's muting that 5th string, right? C9, and this is why I like this voicing, because it's basically the exact same chord. So you just move everything down so your middle finger goes to the 5th string, and now your ring finger is just barring the top 3 strings instead of the top 4. First finger goes to the 2nd fret on the 4th string, okay? Some of you might have made like B7 chord at some point. It's basically that voicing up a half step and then just barred with your ring finger. C9, C sharp 9, C9, B7, or B9. And so this note right here is the 2nd note in the scale, which is, you know, up an octave is a 9. Technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the octave. You go one more note, it's 9. So that's why they call it a dominant 9 chord. Essentially that's what you're doing. And so back to what I was trying to get to before is if you don't properly arch your middle finger, it's going to be really tempting for some people to kind of get lazy and get that. That's a sus9 chord, and it's great. It's a really great sound, but it's not what we're going for right now. If you learn that voicing, Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock's a fun one too. Speaking of Herbie, honorable mention tonight for Herbie. That's 2 mentions, and we're only 10 minutes in. That's pretty good, pretty good. So you got your middle finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, you got your 1st finger, and then your ring finger, and that's probably my preferred way to make this, okay? And that's what rhythm part number 1, which I forgot to put the name above it, but that's the 2nd line. We'll go over the exact kind of strum pattern vibe feel that we're gonna kind of apply this in the beginning. But again, this is, you know, we're kind of subject to what I made the track to be. So, you know, if you're playing with a different drummer, a different bass player, different guitar player, keys or whatever, they might give this a slightly different feel. And so depending on what you're gonna play over, it might be slightly different. So what we're about to go over will totally apply to this, but it is by no means a say-all, end-all. What we're trying to do, what this course is trying to do, is just give you something very specific to work on and learn, but hopefully it's sprouting ideas for things that you could do there on out. And, you know, you become your own budding little guitar player. It'll be fun. When I say things like that, here, poll. Let's give Jason a poll. When I say things like that, do people think I'm crazy? Do people think I'm less of an expert? Or do you appreciate the weirdness? 1, 2, or 3. All right. Sorry, Jason. So, okay. One more option for voicings that we're going to move on to is if you go up to the 10th fret on the 5th string and you bar that. Basically, it's like an A minor shape or your other basic bar chord shape, A minor. So you could do that, and then it's going to a C7 chord. So basic, if you're not even doing the bars, just like we did, or I'm sorry, if you're not doing the 7ths, just like we did earlier, you can go G minor to C major. Okay, so that's your basic option right there. But if you want a very simple fix and make them both 7 chords, you don't have to worry about which one's major, which one's dominant or whatever. All you have to do is take your pinky off for both of them. So if you do that, and then, again, just this bar chord for C7. let's do it. So we're going to that second line on the tab there. Again, I'm going to use this voicing, but the what you're doing essentially is you're just rocking back and forth between the root and like the top end of the chord, okay? So it doesn't matter which voicings you want. If you want to do that one, if you want to do this one, even with the dominant options, even with it, it's all going to sound appropriate as long as you understand that you kind of do the same thing. Like for up here, if you're playing this chord, your root's on the 5th fret. Fifth string, 10th fret. Versus the 6th string. It's the same concept as far as the right hand goes. I think that makes sense. But if anybody had any questions, don't hesitate. I want to see that poll too. I'll check in a little bit. Nobody's going to take that poll. Okay, so we're going to middle finger. Again, we're using the jazz voicings, quote unquote. So you're going to go down and then up on the chord. 3, 4. And I'm sorry if that delay is a little distracting. 3, 4. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to scrape up on the general area of the root. You know, you can hit 2 strings, you can hit 1 string, you hit 3 strings. Doesn't really matter. But you're going to do an up scrape and then apply pressure and then go down on the root. So in slow motion, all that together is going to go 4, yeah. Do the boot. Okay, great. So we're just going to build it, a couple notes at a time. The next after that, you're going to have another up on that chord, and whether that's 3 frets, or 3 strings, 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, 3, and 4, doesn't. It's very subtle differences. Nobody's going to care. So don't get hung up on like playing everything. It's just general concept, like high end, low end, right? So you're going, what? Sorry. Almost there. So you're just going to immediately go on the up strum after that. Down, up, down, up. A lot of funk strumming is, if you can kind of just get this concept going. So what I'm doing is I'm like focusing 1 EN to 2 EN to 3 EN to 4 EN to 1 EN to 2 EN. So I'm playing the low end and then kind of punching the high end on the downbeat. 1 EN to 2 EN to 3 EN to 4 EN to 1. And so notice I don't do it on B1. 1 EN to 2 EN to. But really, you can kind of do whatever you want. But as long as you kind of understand that your right hand is kind of nonstop rhythm, you'll start to fall into a groove. It's less about worrying about exactly counting everything out. You're just nonstop, and sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't, kind of a thing. As long as you can kind of hear it and kind of almost verbalize it, like Morse code kind of a thing, you can start to simplify something that might feel a little more complicated. I feel like I was going to say one more thing about that, but that's good. Okay, for now, if I think of it, I'll let you know. Okay, so after that, you're going to go up on the chord again and down. So it's going to go. And honestly, so like if you're just building this one at a time, you can start to see, again, we already found out that we could totally just play whole notes over this and it could sound great. So like you're not necessarily obligated to do all of this all the time. That's probably bad, actually. It's really good to leave space, especially in something like this. And you'll find that, it's depending on the scenario. Like if you're jamming with a buddy, hopefully soon, that, if he's going off, if he's starting to take a huge solo, depending, like you might feel the need to give him more, or leave him more space so he has more room to fill. But a lot of times you can kind of just read the band. Again, I know this. It's basically the You Enjoy Myself jam, right? So I would, as far as recommended listening goes, definitely check out a live one. Clifford Ball, I think it was 94, 95. It's that You Enjoy Myself is still to me legendary. It never gets old, and the solo sections on there are just awesome because they're dropping down in dynamics like immediately for everybody's solo, and there's this really good communication back and forth till finally it just bubbles into like we can't contain it anymore. Here you go, and it's just balls to the wall. It's so good. A lot of great, interesting guitar playing on that track. So something for your enjoyment of listening. So back to my point, like if we're playing over this, so you could kind of just build it. What if I just did? That's a strum pattern in itself. And so everything that we add after this is just going to be gravy. It's just going to be busier. You might find, especially like if you're on a jam session, random people get pulled up. And so everybody's trying to play the same thing and it just becomes this cacophony of sound. And you're trying to avoid that. So if you can, especially with funk, like real funk, like, James Brown and Wolfpack and like Prince, like, guitar players, guitar parts has a very specific thing. This is more of a jammy thing. There's a lot more room to work with, and that's fine. But I think, taking the time to sit down and kind of carve out your own part, like if you hear it, see if you can figure it out, and then see if you can hold it down. It's a great thing to do. Okay, so like I said, you can build it one at a time, so let me just do that. Here's what I just did. 2, 3, 4. I think I even did less. So, a little more. I know we haven't gone over the C yet. It's the same concept. Okay, so you get the idea. You can kind of build it up. You can leave some space. Let's finish it off. We might as well. We only got one beat left, right? So you got one. Then what you're going to do on this one, you're going to go down, up, down. 2, 3. I'll go a little slower. 3, 4. Okay, so essentially that's exactly what you're going to do with the C9 chord, except now your root's on the 5th string. So you're going to go. Except what's written there is going to be slightly different on beat 4. Again, as you can already gather from what I've been trying to tell you, is you don't have to. Like you could literally do the same thing for both. But I wanted to give you another option just in case you want to have a sort of a call and response feel, or just different ways to sort of build up. So beat 4, 3 a little bit, maybe the end of 3, but definitely beat 4. All music is, whether you're talking rhythm and measures, whether you're talking 5 chords to 1 chords, it's tension and release, right? And so, especially with jams, lots of tension, lots of releases. Drops they call them in the electronic world, which I don't subscribe to, but it's the same concept, and so essentially at beat 4, it's good to kind of, it's not always, again, you kind of want to need to onomatopoeia, read the situation, and if the drummer's building up tension, like that's the kind of time to, even though I specifically said you don't want to step on toes, at that point in the jam on beat 4, as it's coming back around, and if there's a lot of tension, throw it at it as long as you step back on beat 1 right after and give it that release. That's the responsible thing to do, okay, when jamming. So the alternative ending on bar 2 here is going to go, sorry. Okay, and so in theory, if you can hold that finger down the whole time, you could even do full 4 beats, or 4/16 notes. So that would sound like, okay. But what I have there is just like a kind of dummy scrape on the the 4E and so that it just buys you some time to kind of get back to the other chord, and there's no pressure. You could even just go, right? So you can leave that space, or so like, again, back to that like Prince style or Wolfpack, like when you have a very specific guitar part. Sometimes there's scrapes, but a lot of time those guitar parts are essentially this style of playing, but all the times you would scrape, you would generally kind of miss, and it would just be, very clean. Like you hit those parts and then you're completely out of the mix otherwise. So different styles to approach. And I think that kind of does it. We're going to play along with the track in a second, but I see Jason typing, so I just want to make sure there's no loss of feed. We had a lot of trouble with that on Tuesday. My apologies, as well as a question, which is even better. I have a hard time doing the rakes on the upstrokes. Is it feasible to hit them on only the downstroke? I mean, anything's feasible. Not the answer they want, Dave. Okay, so yes, not to be a snark, but yes, you can. It is feasible. You can definitely do it with a downstroke. However, don't comp out on it. You can do it. I believe in you, because here's why. 16th note funk strumming is essentially a grid, right? You're going 1 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a 4 E and like I was saying earlier, it's like a nonstop vibe, nonstop groove that you're adhering to regardless of what notes you're playing in between. And so, I just want you to it's all on the left hand, PS. So really, honestly, my advice to you is don't give up on it. Like, if you want to, I don't want you to create workarounds that are going to screw up your groove, because if you go off that grid, it's not going to be as great, right? You want to go off the grid, but you don't want to go off the grid, if you know what I'm saying. You want to stick to the grid. You want to use it as a template in that sense. You want to go off of it, but like you don't want to abandon, we'll say. You don't want to abandon the grid, because again, if you're doing down strums on weird, it's just, and if you're not consistent, there's tonality to it too. Like you want it to sound good. This is connecting, hoping it's not messed up. But yeah, so and I would say is just take the time. Here's what I would recommend for you, okay? I want you to go slow, okay? So like set a click. I don't even know where we're at today on tempo. I want to say it's like 90, 85 maybe. I printed it out, 85. So where's that 95? I'm going blind. I'm staring at a screen all day now that I'm locked up. It's 85 beats per minute. I would cut that in half. Let's just, bonus lesson, hey-yo.
Sorry, everybody. It looks like we have lost Dave's feed. It usually comes back within 5-10 seconds, so we'll give it a little bit of time here, see if it comes back, and then get him squared away on the question that he was answering.
So you'll find, like, even now, it might take you a second to settle into that. And then what you could do is, if you think about the grid, you can practice going 1 E and 2 E and only applying it on the downbeat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then move it 1/16th note. So you got 1 E and Oh, we lost the feed. Okay, sorry. Hopefully, one time's not too bad. 4 times on Tuesday, that was ridiculous. Okay, so bonus lesson. What I'm getting at is how do you get good at the up strums on the scrapes, right? So what I'm arguing is, or not arguing, I'm recommending, is that we start at 50 beats per minute, okay? And you kind of just establish 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... So what you want to do at that point is you can start to add in those scrapes. So, and it says it's connecting. I saw them typing. I hope we didn't lose a feed, but I'll just keep going. I'll say it 5 times if I gotta. So it's gonna go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, right? With the click. I gotta find it. And then you can start to move it so that, it'll go up on the, you can put it on the E. So it's 1 E and then you can put it on the and. So 1 E and So against a click, it could be like. And then you put on the 1 E and 2. Basically, the moral of the story is you just need to get comfortable applying yourself to that grid. If you're not thinking about that grid, you are missing something fundamental about your strumming. And I think is once you just get used to applying that pressure and thinking about it as like da 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 da, almost like your hands like trying to talk like a puppet, and saying what exactly whatever. Okay. I think we're good. Still says connecting. I think that just might be Skype though, so I'm gonna keep pushing. Okay, let's play it along with the track. We'll just do it for a little bit and then we'll move on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So you got. Let's try it up here so you can go. And so just as a reminder, again, I kind of threw this up strum on scrape the and of 4 as an excuse to kind of get to the next chord. So back to that other thing. If we're going, you want to practice this in slow motion. So you don't want to go, stay right where you are and doing the up strum right there and then move. Lost opportunity. What you want to do is, so as you're moving your hand, you're doing the up strum and that's buying you time. It's getting to your next chord faster, less of a chance that you'll screw up. So I would even just take the time to just practice that. So you got 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. I'm going to keep moving on, but there's a whole slew of different levels of players watching this right now. So, some of you might already be hanging and having fun. I hope. But if it's giving you trouble, you need to just break it down to like little minuscule things like that. Little baby lessons. Okay. Anyway, so how's that poll doing? P.S. Okay, so we're moving on to the second layer. The second layer is going to be thirds. We're going to play, again, we're in the key of F, F has one flat, B flat. And so what we're going to do, essentially what thirds are, it's just taking two adjacent strings and playing two notes together. And those two notes have a note missing. So for instance, let's say we're on C, okay? C, the next note is D, and the third note is E. But instead of playing it on that same string, you play it on the B string. And those are thirds because you've skipped over the note in the D note in between, right? And you can do that up the neck. So basically, what that third line on the tab is just walking up the neck. This string goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat right there. C and D. So you're at the first fret, you're at the third fret, the fifth fret, sixth fret, eighth fret, 10th fret, 11th fret, 13th fret, and 15th fret. We're even going to go higher. At that point, that's exactly the same thing up there. So, you know, I wrote it all the way up to probably as far, I mean, you can even go farther, but... And if you notice, essentially there's just two different fingerings. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the third string goes second fret, fourth fret. No, just kidding. Second fret, third fret, because there's your B flat. C on the fifth fret, D on the seventh fret. We got E on the ninth. We got F on the 10th. We got G on the 12th. We got A on the 14th and B flat on the 15th. And then we're still going. So C and D on 17 and 19. Okay. So if you notice, there's two different voicings. You're starting off with sorry about that. Just want to make sure I turn that off. So index finger on the first fret of the second string, middle finger on the second fret of the third string. So that's what I call like the split voicing. They're two separate frets. You're going to have a split voicing, and you're going to have a straight across voicing, okay? So, and you'll find they come in groups. So this one's right here. This one is actually part of a group, but you can't go below that. So you have two straight ones in a row. Then you have two split ones in a row. Here's where it gets slightly different. You got one straight, one split, but then, so there's just one random straight, which is actually your tonic. So it's a good kind of point in the neck where you're thinking, like, because it's basically that F chord. This would apply over any chord that's in the key of F. So if you have an F major chord as a 1 chord, if you have a G minor as a 2 chord, which we do, if you have a minor as a 3 chord, if you have a B flat major chord as a 4 chord, if you have a C chord as a 5 chord, which we do, if you have a D minor, we're not going to worry about the 6th chord, or the 7th chord, I'm sorry, E half diminish. But this will sound cool over all of them. You'll find that it resolves different in different places depending on what chord you're on, but you can basically do this over the whole progression and kind of noodle around, and it's going to sound cool. So you got F at the 10th fret, basically, so straight across, and then you got two splits, and then you're back up. So you got two splits on 11 and 12, and 13 and 14. 15 and 17 are straight across. And so I would take the time to memorize it, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like you would play any scale, you know? Some nasty overtones with this. But that's what, you know, it's going to sound cool, regardless if you're clean or not. So that's it. Memorize them. Start to explore. Here, let me just like kind of mess around with them, and then we'll get to the actual part. Oh, one more thing I want to mention with them is you can, you know, for instance, the ones that are straight across, you can either play them with your first finger or your ring finger. I wouldn't really recommend your middle. Your middle is kind of middle ground, no pun intended. But I would recommend the index finger because sometimes, basically, you can kind of, and this is kind of getting into neo-soul type of playing, but, you know, you can get really creative. So, like, I could play all of that, those 4, with just, like, one pick and then hammer. So I'm going slide, hammer, 2 and 3, and slide. And so there's little pockets like that, like right here. So in theory, like, and depending on which way you're going, you might want to choose other fingering. So for instance, right here, I would use index and for that, and then 2 and 3 for these, and then you got this big group of 4 that you can do. However, Sometimes you might want to do 1 and 2 here, because then you can kind of resolve to your ring finger right there at the 10th fret. Likewise, you can do index, hammer there, and then slide. Close enough. Okay, so I'm just going to mess around with those really quick, and then we'll learn it. Yeah, and so you can see something a little funky there. You can see like this one is really classic right here. So if you're thinking, we'll get into this in a second, you know, if we're talking this minor pentatonic when we get into the soloing part. But when you normally don't think of this fret right here, but it's, you know, it's part of your 5 chord technically, or your 4 chord, however you're thinking of it. You know, your basic bar chord. And what sounds really good is when you take this as a double stop 2 and 3, strings 2 and 3, and bend it up. What's a unique thing happens, because of the different tensions in the string, the B string goes up a half step and the G string goes up a whole step. So it's like, so it's essentially doing this third thing that we were just practicing, but just by bending. It's a cool little thing. Fan. Okay, so let's get to an actual written part. So we're all the way at the bottom of this first page here. So we're going to start up here with our ring finger, and it's going to go down, up on that 15th fret. So you're going to go down, and you're using your ring finger so that you can immediately go to your index and middle on 13 and 14. And you're just going to walk down the scale. You're going to use your first finger across 10, and then we're going to resolve it back to 11 and 12. So you got, right? Let's do it again. Down, up, down, 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 up. 3, 4. So it's a little slower.
Well, it does look like we lost the feed again here. Hopefully it'll come back in a couple seconds, usually about 5 to 10 seconds or so. Thanks for sticking around with us, and we'll wait till Dave is back.
And so you could, you know, I would probably recommend switching to 2 and 3 at this point, so that it sets up your index finger pretty nicely. We lost the feed again. Aww. And we're back. My apologies. If I could control the internet, I would. I wouldn't be doing this gig if I could control the internet. Come on. No, I probably would. It's a good gig. Thanks, Jamplay. So back to where we were. We were just going over this thing, so I'll just start again. So we're going down, up on this one on the 15th fret with our ring finger. First and second, we're going to walk back. You're going to play both of those once with downstrokes, and then you're going to go down on your index finger across the 10th fret, and then we're going to go up on 11 and 12. So it's going to go. Okay, one more time. For fun. Now we're going to go down to the other way. So it's going to start exactly where you left off. You're not changing any fingerings or anything. You get to stay right where you are for the first 2 voicings, which are coincidentally the last 2 voicings. So you're going to go. Okay? Then you're going to shift. Okay? And you're going to go to 8 and 9, 7 and 6, and then first finger across that 3rd string there. Found it. Okay, so you got, in total, you got down, up, down, 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 up, and then it's the exact same strum pattern again, exact same rhythm. We're just going to walk down to the 5th fret. I don't trust it. Sure. It's good enough for jazz, right? So again, here he goes. 2, 3, 4. What? Getting augmented there. I'm just going to tune, and here, I'll even turn down. For those of you who are just tuning in, it's a little more exciting than just me playing the tunes, the tunage of the guitar. We're going to play it against the track, because that's what we're here to do, guys. Who's ready? How's that pole doing? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We'll wait one more to give it a nice round feeling. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you got... Who hired me? Trying to connect. I hope I didn't lose it. Here, let's give it a fair shot again. But 2, 3, 4. You got... Why? See, I'm worried about losing the feed now. I hope we're all right. Let me just do my job, and we'll worry about it later. Start messing around with the rhythm. Oh, guys, we got finally, for what you've been waiting for, we got a poll going in. 2 approvals of said weirdness. That means a lot to me, guys. I really appreciated it. Okay. And a joke. Where do you find a cow with no leg? Oh, you already gave me the answer. Right where you left it. That's a country folk. Country folk. You got me laughing though. No, it's I feel like cows can. No, maybe not. I don't know. I've never seen a 3-legged cow. Thanks for the joke. Keep them coming. If anything, it'll make Jason laugh while I'm playing. You know, love it. Does anybody have any questions? Just want to check in. Seems like we're good. Otherwise, Jason would have snuck one in by now. Maybe not. So that's the second part of rhythm, okay? We got one more section, okay? We're going to go over what you could do to kind of solo over something like this. Now, the easiest fix is going to be... Dang. Maybe. Anyway, what I'm getting at, guys and gals, is this minor pentatonic is your basic go-to, and if you know it all over the neck, you can kind of play this wherever. Now, I will say this. If this is all you're working off of right here, I call it the money note. You're gonna want to hit that note. So that's gonna happen in 2 spots. If you just know this one pentatonic scale, when it goes to the 5 chord or the 4 chord, however you think of it, you're gonna want to hit that fret right behind your pinky. And likewise, if you skip a string, it's on the 4th string as well. So like, you don't need to be, you don't need to be that obvious and dramatic about it. But it's a great way to still basically rock minor pentatonic all day, but throw in a little flavor. Question, can you explain the logic of the split coil, split coil pickups that you have? I don't want to get into Leo Fender's head when he created these. These were the last pickups he designed before his passing. And so essentially, they are noise canceling to an extent. Sounds pretty silent. This isn't a normal amp. So essentially it's a split coil, essentially it's a single coil, but they're displaced slightly to help reduce the unwanted 60 cycle hum that you get with most pickups, most single coil pickups that is. So I think that's the logic right there. This is a risk I took on eBay about 7 years ago, 7 years ago. Got a B-bender thing, which I bypassed because I haven't been using it, and I just like the stability of just a normal guitar. It's great, the Will Ray model. It's cool little guitar from G&L. Anyway, we're gonna go over the lead part. Okay, so basically, what this is gonna be, like I said, it's essentially gonna be out of this, but what a lot of players will play over this, including Trey, including just like this is a jazz thing too. So like you can use, and this becomes a hall of mirrors concept that I talk about from time to time, and think people, oh, we got a little bug in here. Shouldn't have left the window open, huh? So basically, a lot of players get hung up on like what a mode is and like what's. We're in the key of F, so you're going to be playing F over this whole thing. When you're on this chord right here, the G minor, it's technically going to be during that you're playing. But if you continue to play the same scale when it goes to the 5 chord, it becomes, all of a sudden, it becomes Mixolydian. Really what you're just doing is playing F major over this whole thing because these are 2s and 5s in the key of F, right? And so we're not really going to study this position, but... So if you notice, like even just a quick fix, if you know this one position right here, if you notice, you can gap that, those 2 notes and right behind your pinky on the top 2 strings. Likewise, if you're playing this pentatonic scale on the 3rd and the 4th string, you can kind of slide back, and we know we just talked about these, but you can also include those. Question, is there another key that this can be played in without changing the tonic of the song? So, no. Unfortunately, so basically when you harmonize them, it's a good question. Didn't mean to be rude. But when you harmonize the major scale, your 1-4, especially if we're talking 7 chords, your 1 chord and your 4 chord are major 7, 2, 3, and 6 are minor 7, sorry. And the 5 chord is dominant. So the only time you technically get a dominant chord is off the 5 chord, which means, you could play... You can play this all up the neck, but every time you move it, it's just going to change keys. So really that's the, it's the only thing you do. But you could play, like, if you like, let's jam in C. So you go to C on the 8th fret. Whatever note this is, that's what you would tell your buddies. And we're going to jam in the key of C. And then you're just rocking... you're just rocking C minor over that whole thing. Great. Cool. So that's essentially what I'm going to be pulling from, is basically minor pentatonic, but these added color notes from the scale as well. Okay? It's going to start with an upstroke. We're going to be kind of muting that very first note on the 3rd string, so it's like kind of hovering over the 17th fret on the 3rd string. And what we're doing here is, if you know your blue note right there, there's this chromatic passage, right? So you got, okay, so we're just going to do that 3 times. You're going to hammer on to the 18th fret. Then you're going to play the 18th fret and then bend up from the 18th fret and give it some vibrato if you can. Now I find this sounds really nice if you can get your index finger underneath it and snap the string. Okay, so you got, so one more time slower. Okay, after that, I'm sorry, unfortunately gonna kind of push through this pretty quick, so hopefully not too quick. Again, you're gonna dance back and forth between 18 and 15. So I would start with an upstroke. And then you're gonna go to that money note, and you're just gonna give it some vibrato. Okay, so you got, and you could swing that, but I'd probably play it straight. That's the difference, but I'd probably play it straight. And then you're going to kind of complete that phrase just by, simply just going to your index finger, which you already kind of got. On the 15th fret of the second string, back to the 17th, back down to 17 on the third string. So in total, that first part of the phrase, again, you're starting with you don't have to do that little, ghost note. Okay, one more time slower. One more time. Okay, now at that point you're gonna start. You're gonna start on the 14th fret with a downstroke. So you're gonna keep the same fingering essentially, but you're gonna move back one note for one finger. So your index finger is gonna move back for one note. And I would recommend starting with this downstroke. This is gonna be really crucial economy picking to kind of get through this. You're gonna go down, then you're gonna immediately move up a half step, up, down on 17, and down through 15 on the second string. So you got.
Well, I do apologize, everybody. It looks like we've lost Dave's feed once again towards the end here. Hopefully it'll come back shortly, and we can get the lesson finished up.
I think we're back because he's typing, I assume. So sorry about the feed, guys. Yeah, so you're going to go down on 14, up on 15, down on 17, push through. It's really important to do that rest stroke there. So your pick's physically stopped by the second string, and then you're pushing through. And then you're going to go straight up to 18. Okay, so you got. Okay, so you're going to go up on that 18, down on 17, and pull to 15. And then at that point, it's just going to be like a kind of a sequence through it. You're going to do that 17, 15, 17 again. And then you're going to go back to 15 and then down. And resolve it to that 14 where you started the whole thing. So you got starting with the downstroke. A little slower. That swung. Trying to do a little straighter. And then at that point, that's the whole lick, because the last measure is just the pickup that we started with. So in total, nice and slow, it's going to go. Okay, I'm assuming that most of you who are learning this at home, if you got your guitar and you're going, that you probably need a little more time to get it up and running. But I'm going to play along with the backing track. We're almost out of time, so I just want to say thank you guys for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to follow me, Dave Brown's Music, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, that whole thing. We got another course next week, another 2 courses. Tuesday is going to be sliding for practicing fundamentals at 8 p.m. With Jam Play. And on Thursday, another Jam of the Week. Next week we're going country. So I'm going to try and rip off some country licks. Here we go with the track, and then just for a couple minutes, and then we'll say our final goodbyes. It's been so sweet. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. It's the world we live in. And yeah, that's good. Give you one more time through. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Sorry guys. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part of the thing. That just messed me up. Anyway, I think you get the idea. I'm kind of having some little fun with some of the rhythm at the beginning. I'm doing like triplet thing. So instead of going, so that's 16s, but you could go. One more time. Guys, I think you get the idea. Hopefully you dug it. We'll see you Tuesday, I guess, unless Jason's got anything he wants to say. But if not, I'm gonna just start playing because we're past time. So I'm gonna play you guys out. Thanks for hanging. We'll see you next Tuesday.